Thank you, sir, for being with us this morning. Moving towards the next session, third session, I welcome Commander Rupak Berry. He is an independent consultant, aerospace and defense. Sir has served on board Indian warships and shore establishments mainly in the field of design, development, and maintenance of missiles, radars, and other electronic equipment. He has worked for the project Trishul, the indigenous surface-to-air missile system, and also the long-range surface-to-air missile system, being developed jointly by DRDO and Israel Aerospace Industries. So we welcome you, sir. We are honored to have you as our speaker for today's session. Can we have Rupak Berry, sir, with us? So can you share your screen, please?
Yeah, I'm just enabling my video and this thing. If you can.
Yes.
So
Yes.
can you see me now?
Yes, I can see you.
Yeah. Okay. So can I start the presentation then?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can start. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. You're not. Hello.
Yeah. Just a minute. I'm
Yes,
just,
yes, yes, sir.
1 second. Okay. Can you see the presentation now? It's okay.
Let me check, sir. No, I could not see actually.
Because we checked up today morning. I think. No, I think it's.
Hello, Vibhuti, sir. Is it visible to you?
Presentation is visible now.
I could not see you. Vibhuti, sir, can you see it?
No, presentation is not yet visible.
Okay, just a minute. I'm just seeing that because today morning we checked up.
Present now has to be on. Sir, there is a present now option in your
Okay.
right hand.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Yes.
Just 1 second. I'll just.
Yes, sure, sir.
Now it's okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
Now it is coming, sir. Now it is coming.
It's coming now. Fine.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
It is coming.
Okay. So can we go ahead now? I mean, can we? If
Right.
it's okay, then.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
But I'm
Yes, sir.
able
You can
to-
start.
Once again, I'm not able to see the presentation myself.
You are.
Let it appear.
Yes.
Let it-
So I think it's loading. We could
Yeah.
not see the slide, but we could see your screen.
Uh-huh.
Sir, you have to share the entire screen.
Yeah. Okay. We're presenting to everyone. Okay, it's not.
I think that it should
Sir,
log out
open
and
your
log in
present-
once again.
Sir, you
I think I'll
directly
have to-
start your presentation.
No, but his presentation is not visible, na?
Yes, that is
Sir
what I'm
has not
saying.
opened
PPT
the,
start.
presentation.
Yes.
PPT, please
Sir.
start the PPT directly.
You start
Your
this, sir.
screen has accessed on the screen has displayed over here.
Sir, you
yeah,
open
that's-
your PPT
Open your
and
PPT, sir.
Okay, I'll just once again. Give me some. I think I'll just try to see if there is some other way of doing it.
yes,
Now,
it is
yes, sir.
visible.
Yes, sir. It is visible now.
Now it's visible.
Yes, it is coming.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now
yes,
you
yes.
can-
Visible.
F5
So can I
present.
go ahead now?
Yes, please.
Can I start now?
Yes.
Sir, can you put it in presentation mode?
Yeah,
We
okay.
could see the so
Yeah.
that we could see the complete slide.
Now
Yeah. Now it is fine, sir.
can
Perfectly
we go
all
ahead
right.
now?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay.
Over to you,
fine.
sir.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the confusion. Okay. So I think notwithstanding, let's get on with it now. I am Commander Berry. I've served with the Indian Navy, and I think probably a small introduction was given. And, I have been in the teaching faculty myself. I was the HOD of electronics department with the Naval Engineering College, where I got an opportunity to teach radars. So, although it's been 10 years now since, I left the Navy, and I've been working as an aerospace and defense consultant since then, a lot of freelance assignments and all. But I thought I should use this opportunity to get back in touch with, what's happening on the latest on radars. And very aptly, the topic which was assigned to me was radar applications for Industry 4.0. So if you can see, I mean, I would like to cover up the presentation in 3 parts. I can gather that, most of the audience is not from the ENTC background, who would have probably, even the ENTC background, probably the 3rd and 4th year students would have studied something on communications and radars, and they would be familiar with, some of the aspects, technical aspects. So I will, for the rest of the audience, I'll keep it more generic, and I'm sure that all of us, in our day-to-day lives, see radars when we are at the airport or in our automobiles for autopilot applications and all. So, I mean, just curious to, for your curiosity to get a bit, little deeper into radars. So the topic itself would split it into 3 parts: radars, applications, and the Industry 4.0. Okay, so I would cover it in that facet. First talk about radars in general, and then about the applications, and then link it with the Industry 4.0. So I think we can go to the next slide now. All of you can see the screen. It's okay. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
just confirming. Yeah. Okay, so now a basic block diagram of a radar. I mean, something similar, to even communication systems or other microwave equipment and all, right? So you have you have an antenna. You may have only one antenna, or you may have a separate antenna for transmission and reception. You have you need a oscillator to generate the energy, which is going to travel RF energy, radio frequency waves, or EM waves, electromagnetic waves, which travel out, in the space and hit a target, and then they bounce back and they are picked up by the receiver. So the waveform generator, feeds the transmitter, and through the antenna, the energy goes out into space, and then it is received back through the receiver. The receiver, front-end receiver, is a mix of the high-end, the high-frequency carrier, which carries the signal which is coming from the target, and you need to separate out the two. So the receiver does everything, then sends it to a computer or a signal processor to do some process to display that in the format you want. Then it's to a PP plant or display will display target. Okay, and of course there is a timing and control unit, because if you want to, the basic parameters you need from a target, that what is the range of the target and what is the bearing of the target. In addition to that, so there are some radars called height finding or 3-dimensional radars, which also give some more information like the height of the target. So you need a timing unit, because you need to find out that when you transmit it and when you receive. So the difference between the two would give you, the range of the target. Okay, so I think with that basic concept of a block diagram, we move on to the next slide. Okay, now, so we have, in general, we got to know what is a radar. It's a radio detection ranging system. So apart from radar, what are the other things, which are there? Like, for example, you have LIDAR. LIDAR uses, instead of electromagnetic energy, uses light energy. You have nowadays infrared sensors also, which do give the presence of targets and all, but there are differences between radars and the infrared sensors. Radars are more rugged in terms of weather performance. Radars can perform in adverse weather, rains and all, whereas the infrared sensors don't. So that will be the benefit of a radar over an infrared sensor. Now coming to some of the major application areas of radars, which would be of interest to anyone. Definitely the military and weapon systems take the most expensive radars. The most, I would say the maximum share of the budget in the radar technology goes to military and weapon systems, because the kind of sophistication you need is much more. So for example, you can compare a radar which you see in an airport, a surveillance radar which is detecting a civil aircraft, which is moving at below Mach 1 speed. So it would be something moving at a maximum speed of 300 meters per second. And you compare this with a military aircraft, which is moving at 3 to 4 Mach speed, or a ballistic missile, which is moving almost at 3 to 4,000 meters per second speed. So the kind of technology you need in military is much more sophisticated. And, it's a matter of, to have a cutting edge over the enemy. So a lot of investments go in the military and weapon systems in radars. For peaceful applications, we have so many of them like remote sensing, you have space-based radars, which are used to get imaging of the Earth's or any other planet surface. You have air traffic control. We just spoke about it, that to basically, track the movement of aircrafts and all. Okay. Then you have law enforcement radars. We know that, the traffic cops and all, they use, Doppler radars to check whether you are not overspeeding. And there are technologies to implement this. But basically they're also using radars to find out whether you are overspeeding or not. Then you have safety, aircraft safety and navigation. There are some radars called aircraft surface radars. They find out any unnecessary movement of vehicles and all on the runways. Then you have and navigation. So every aircraft has got a radar to navigate. There are weather radars on aircrafts which show the presence of clouds and unnecessary disturbances which are there. Ship safety and so ship safety again and navigation. So the ship uses a navigation radar to find out if there are any small boats or any other objects in the vicinity. And especially in the night time, when visual observation is not possible, it's a big asset because you can still detect the presence of small boats or something and navigate your ship. Space exploration again, there are radars. Imaging, for developing terrain images and all, there are special radars, right? So. Now, having seen the applications, of radar, so for each different application, you will need a different type of a radar. Okay, so now let's get on to the different, to one more aspect, that is the types of radars. Okay, now types of radars can be classified, based on many other, many parameters. So you have different designs and, construction based. So the radar, every radar, will be designed differently and constructed differently based on the application area. So radar has got many parameters. It's got power output, the type of beam width, the type of signal processing that you use and antenna that you use. There are so many things. Operating conditions have to be defined for the radar. Is it possible to, operate in high wind speed, high, to extreme weather like extreme rain. So the cold and hot temperatures. So there are so many operating conditions, which will change the performance. So although it is microwave energy and RF energy, which is quite transparent to many of the weather problems and all, but still you need to design the radars. So all these would, make it a different type of a radar. Okay. Now, the basic, like I said that, the basic parameter which, the performance of a radar is based on the kind of range it can give you, and it has to give you the accurate bearing of the object. So that will define the position in space. So this is relevant for something called 2D radars or two-dimensional radars, which will give you the range and the bearing of the target. Apart from that, now there are another feature, especially in the case of aircrafts and airports and all, they need 3D radars because apart from the range and bearing of the aircraft, they need also the height of the aircraft. So that gives a better, a better information to them to control the aircraft. So we have something called 3D radars, which will obviously be more expensive because they need additional kind of hardware and processing to give you the 3D information, right? You have something called synthetic aperture radars, which are used for imaging applications. So synthetic aperture radars are, they have a different, especially the receiver, the image is captured or the energy which is coming has to be processed basically from the image processing point of view. But it's able to give a very good image and they are used extensively for mapping applications, geographical applications. And like I said earlier, that, the edge they would have over IR image, infrared image is that, even in adverse weather like snowfall or rain, they would still be able to perform. So that would be the advantage of synthetic aperture radars. So where would you apply these kind of radars? So a person, let's say, if you are anticipating adverse weather like snowfall or something, you can deploy a synthetic aperture radar because it would come at a higher cost, but then it will meet your objective. But whereas if you're expecting a normal weather, clear weather, you can go in for, you can deploy cheaper infrared cameras or something, to do your this thing, so that you can have a better economic advantage, and commercially it would be more viable. So it would, so any good agency would use a mix and match of the technology to get a better application out of it. Okay, so we'll continue with the types of radars. One major type of radar which is used extensively all around the world is surveillance radars. So they're used for long-range surveillance. Like an airport, a typical airport would have two types of radars. It would have a short-range radar, which would give maybe possibly a range of 50 to 100 kilometers, and it would use a surveillance radar, which would use, which would give a range of maybe 100 to 500 kilometers. So you have the entire airspace under cover, and you can know that what is the kind of. So accordingly, for this surveillance radars, you would need, you will have to use low frequencies. So the radars are using RF frequencies, microwave frequencies. Most of the radars, are operating in the band of 1 to 10 gigahertz, and the typical bands, which are used for the electronics students, they would be familiar with terms like S band, L band, C band, X-ray band, and all. So the band of the radars, and but predominantly surveillance radars, would use low frequencies because they would get attenuated lesser, and they would provide long ranges. And similarly, surveillance radar would also need to scan the big amount of space, in terms of height. So let's say that, so it would use a wide beam. The antenna of the radar will produce a beam pattern. So, the beam pattern can be, depending on the design of the antenna, it can be either a narrow beam or a medium beam or a wide beam. So surveillance radars would typically use, a wide beam. Here I've written over here for the benefit of everyone that it's a wide beam. So a wide beam, would give more coverage, and, all the aircraft which are coming in the gambit of the beam, only those would be visible to the radar, right? So it would use an antenna which would form a wide beam. The next type of radar, which is commonly used, is called navigation radars. Now, both on ships and aircrafts, we have a navigation radar. As the name suggests, it is meant purely for navigation. Like in the ship, in a ship probably, the navigation radar is switched on mainly when the ship leaves and enters harbor. When it's on the high seas, where you don't expect too much of traffic and all, you would like to switch off and conserve the, because every oscillator of a radar has got a limited hours of operation. So you would like to conserve the use. So navigation radars would be mainly used, even for aircraft, they would be used mainly when they're leaving and exiting, entering the airports, because that is the time when you expect a high dense traffic. And the navigation radars, accordingly use a narrow beam. So the beam width is narrow because it provides a better resolution. When you say resolution, it means that radar should be able to differentiate between two targets which are in a close vicinity. It should not identify it as a one single object. Otherwise, you may assume that it's a single object, and it would lead to an accident. So you need a good resolution. So you would use a narrow beam width, and that is typical for navigation radars. Range requirement is not very high. Even a normal range of 50 to 100 kilometers is sufficient for a navigation radar. We have another category or type of radar that's called FMCW radars. The term FMCW has basically originated from CW radars. CW are basically continuous wave radars. So earlier, the oscillators were continuous wave. They used to keep oscillating and give the presence of targets. But then they were not able to give the range of the target because the oscillation was continuous. There was no time stamping. So we were not able to get the range. So then the next category radar which was developed was FMCW, or frequency modulated CW radar. So by a process of modulation, we were able to do a time stamping and get the range. And these radars are, have got a feature that at a very low power output, they are able to get sufficient amount of coverage. So they are also called stealth radars, and they are used for stealth applications. Like, for example, if you would like to take your ship very close to an enemy harbor to basically spy, or for a spying mission or something, so you would like to use the FMCW radar, wherein you get to you can get the picture of the harbor or the vicinity, and also you would not like to disclose your position because there are enemy is always using surveillance equipment like electronic warfare equipment or something to see the any kind of transmissions in the vicinity and who is operating nearby. So you would not like to give your own position. And so the word stealth, I think we are all familiar with stealth. I'm sure you must have heard of the stealth bomber, which was made by USA, which was able to go undetected. It was used for the first time during the Iraq War, wherein the B-52 bomber, they had a stealth feature, using the different technologies. They were able to make themselves, the aircraft was able to make itself invisible to a radar and go bomb and come back without getting detected. So this is, different kind of technology called stealth technology. And here we have of FMCW radar, which is providing this kind of a feature. Okay, so the next kind of radars, tracking radars, which are used with weapon systems. Like I said, that these are very important. Probably the most sophisticated radars today, which are there in the world, would be tracking radars. And like I said, it's why they are different. Because the performance parameters for a tracking radar, because it has to track. When you say track, means if you have to bring down an enemy aircraft or an enemy missile or an enemy ballistic missile which is coming at you, like I said, the parameters would be, for everyone's benefit, repeating again, the parameters would be something like below 1 Mach speed for a civil aircraft, 2 to 3 Mach speeds for military aircraft, and around 4 to 5,000 meters per second for for ballistic missiles, incoming ballistic missiles. So how now, if you want to engage all these targets, and to protect yourself, you need to first detect the presence of the target and then track it. So tracking will be in terms of 3 parameters in range, bearing, and elevation. You need to track all the 3 parameters and then feed it to a weapon system. You launch your own missile, which will go and engage the target. So how do you do all this? How do you track a target which is moving at 4,000 meters per second velocity? So you need to develop those kind of technologies, which the leading companies in the world, like who develop weapon systems. The major global giants are like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Thales, and all, which are developing these kind of radars, and the costing is all hundreds of crores rupees. As far as the Indian companies are concerned, which are though we are importing most of our tracking radars and all, because we don't have the right algorithms and all to develop them ourselves, but still a lot of companies engaged in like Bharat Electronics, L&T, Mahindra Defense, Tata Defense. We are trying to develop our own radars, but tracking radars, would be, something which is a very, I would say, very sophisticated algorithms and signal processing and all, to get the performance required, to meet the parameters. Okay. Now, continuing with, the type of applications. So weather radars, weather radars are basically Doppler radars working more on the Doppler shift principle and used for weather forecasting. They're used extensively by the meteorological departments. I mentioned about airports, using, like the airports when the aircraft, we don't need any unnecessary movements of vehicles and all, especially to track the runway. So there are something called surface movement radars, which specifically give, any movement on the surface of the runway, so that we can come to know any disturbance in the runways. So those are called surface movement radars. We have something called perimeter surveillance radars, which are used extensively for security and intruder detection. So many of the, and like I said before, that you can have your CCTV cameras, you can have other cameras which are based on IR technology, but they will not give you performance during adverse weather. So radars still have a place in, in surveillance, perimeter surveillance, security and all. Okay. There is a category of radars called ground penetration radars, which are used for underground object detections, surveys, road, bridge, checking of the roads, bridges, and any kind of mining activities and all, they're used extensively. So all these radars are developed separately with different technologies. Automobile radars, we all are very familiar of lot of you see the autopilot function which is coming in the automobiles. So if a automobile needs to go on autopilot mode, it needs to look around and see if any disturbance coming from front or the sides. So radars are used extensively to see the presence of any obstructions in the way of the vehicles, so that they can navigate in autopilot mode. So those will be under the category of automobile radars. Okay. Here I've got you see, we mentioned about a radar that was called a synthetic aperture radar, which is used for imaging functions. So here you see that how the image, which is given by a radar would look like. So here we have an antenna which can, rotate and also mounted in a cage, so you can move the antenna or the pedestal in a elevation and bearing mode to get to focus on some objects. So he's focusing on this man over here, and which is in front of a vehicle, and so you have. You get the, you transmit and you receive the energy, okay, and then you send it to a processor, and this is how the, so this is how the image would look like, on a screen. Okay, this is another image showing the processing of a synthetic aperture radar. Actually, a synthetic aperture radar is basically, most of the application is aerial application. It is carried on and used extensively for mapping and carried on an aircraft to gain the imagery, and then you can feed it onto a map. So you can see that even in the night, even in the night time. Now this night image, you see how clear it is. You see it is able to identify the roads, or the vegetation around, and also you see the shadows which is coming from the trees. So this is how you have to do a terrain mapping, and these radars are providing very good resolution images for the geographic industry. Yeah. Okay. Now we come to another facet of radars, which is I'm sure for all the electronic students, they would be knowing that they would have studied antennas, would have studied you see the beam patterns and all, whether it's communication or radars, it's quite similar. Even in communication systems, we have antennas which radiate and get a beam. So now you see basically what was happening earlier, just to all of you must have seen something like a parabolic antenna. This is a very common sight on most of the airports also. So this is an antenna which rotates, you see, in 360 degrees. And at any given time, wherever the antenna points, so the energy which is collected by the antenna from that direction, only that particular picture is available on the radar. So this is a conventional antenna which rotates, and you see, which transmits, receives, and then gives a picture on the radar. This is conventional. Now I'll show you another image. This image is of something called a phased array radar. This technology is almost around maybe 3-4 decades old now, and you see it's a revolutionary technology because it doesn't need any physical movement. Like the earlier antenna you saw had to rotate physically, and if you have a very big, huge antenna, all the more difficult to make the machinery to you have to deploy very heavy motors and machinery to move it. So here we have a very big antenna. This antenna is of a green pine radar. It is also called electronically scanned array because here the antenna doesn't rotate or move. It there is a process called electronically scanned array, wherein you just change the phase shift of the elements which are there. So like this particular antenna is almost around 11 by 5 meters. I worked on this radar earlier, and this radar is basically, we have bought it from Israel. It is being developed by ELTA, which is the leading agency of Israel, which is developing radars. And we had bought this antenna and deployed 2 of the radars because we need to keep a watch on our on the 2 fronts. One is on the western front to monitor Pakistan, and the northern front to to monitor China's activities. So this radar, is this array itself. You see, it has a very big size, 11 meters by 5 meters, and it has got almost 1,000 radiating elements in it, and this is called a phased array radar. So it uses the principle of phase delay to steer the beam. So this particular antenna is able to scan. You see almost except in the rear space, some area, it's almost able to get a 360-degree coverage without moving. So and it can scan electronically at a very high pace. So this is able to, now this antenna, for example, has got a capability to even detect ballistic missiles. So such kind of activities are not possible with the conventional antennas. So as of off late, the phased array antennas have sought a lot of prominence, and only issue is that they are very expensive. Okay, so now I have already shown you, you see the two basic types of antennas, the classification based on the scanning technology. So you have conventional antennas, which are using a rotating antenna for scanning, and electronically scanned arrays, which are also commonly called as the phased array radars. And they use the concept of phase shifting for electronically steering the beam. Now, phased arrays are again of two types. One is active phased arrays and passive phased arrays. So active phased arrays are where each individual element is a separate transmitter and receiver. I will be later on showing you the block diagram of an active phased array radar to explain this concept. And the concept is very important because only an active phased array radar, is able to give the kind of performance which conventional radars cannot. So like, for example, the radar which I showed you, Green Pine radar, it can give the presence of a target at almost 1,000 kilometers. So this was not possible with the conventional radars earlier. And it can also carry out activities like monitor, space launches, satellite launches. So we have earlier deployed this radar for launch of all the satellites. And it can, reproduce it can track, the presence of objects, debris in space. So these are the kind of advantages which it has. And we have something called passive phased arrays. So a passive phased array is a radar which has got a common transmitter, but it receives through separate elements. So just to make this clear, I will be explaining with another diagram. Here I've got a phased array radar block diagram. So earlier block diagram which you saw, there was one antenna and there was only one oscillator which was one oscillator which was feeding the antenna in the previous block diagram that we saw. But here you can see that we have got something called a TRM, or a transmit receive module. And you can have as many transmit receive modules as there are elements in the array. So this is the array of the radar. This array can have, you see, like this array is 3 by 3 array. So there are 3 rows and 3 columns. So there are total 9 elements. So you'll have 9 processing channels. Okay. So this is called a transmit. So each transmit receive module is like a small mini radar. It has its own independent transmitter and independent receiver. And this particular element over here that you see, this is called the phase shifter, which is used to delay the phase, which will electronically scan the array. So in the previous photo of the Green Pine radar I showed you, this particular radar, this radar has almost 1,000 elements. Now the benefit here is that, let's say that there are 1,000 elements, and let's say 4 or 5 elements here go defective in this module. So the radar will still keep on functioning. So basically the advantage over here is that it is a combination of small radars to get a better performance, you see, and any damage to one of or few elements, doesn't stop the performance. So that is the benefit of this kind of a radar. Okay, so this is basically, you see, and an active phased array has got, you see, a transmitter and a receiver both. But a passive phased array will have only one transmitter. It will not have independent transmitters, but reception is done in different from the different elements. So that is the difference between active and passive phased array. Now, active phased arrays, see, they need heavy cooling. They generate a lot of heat, so they need a lot of cooling. So that's why they're more expensive. But they are giving a better performance also. Now, the third part of the presentation, that is to correlate the radar, its applications to the Industry 4.0. So now, how do you define, I mean, we have seen earlier presentations, which have brought a lot of aspects of the Industry 4.0. So let's see how it matches with the radars, right? Now, we see that the industry is entering a new era where the systems developed during Industry 3.0, which became smarter through the use of computers and automation, are now being connected to each other. So there is a connection. You see, even in the military, you see, like we are talking of Industry 4.0. In the military, we have something called, we started with something similar called command and control. So basically, we started using, the automation, like technology which was coming to maintain a command and control. So from command and control, we went to C3, command control and intelligence system, C3I, C4I. I'm sure you must have heard of all these kind of terms, C4I, C5, C6. Basically, we are trying to merge technologies like computers, communications, intelligence gathering, cyber. So to improve or to maintain a control over what is happening. So the way the industry is going into version 1, 2, 3, 4, the military is going into C2, C3, C4, C5. So just adding computers, communications, cyber, to get to maintain a control over what is happening, you see, and to improvise. So it's all about evolution and to use the incoming technologies to amalgamate them and to get better performances. Right now, this concept is called Industry 4.0 and relies on several design principles to achieve. So there are a lot of so when you want to design an equipment which is compliant with Industry 4.0, so you need some kind of you need to define the principles now which are going to be used for designing the equipment. The first design principle is the one of interoperability, meaning that the machines and their sensors can communicate amongst themselves and their human users through using the internet. So you need to be interoperable. That means that if I develop a radar, it should be able to communicate. Earlier, you see the radar was put in a particular location. We had to go to that location to switch on the transmitter, switch on everything. Now through the internet, I should be able to remotely connect, switch on, do some kind of operations, maybe not everything, but part of it. So some kind of interaction through the internet between the machine and the human. Okay. Now, so how do I bring in these kind of things into the radars? So, many of the good companies have now started, modifying the radar architecture to support IP communication. So basically, IP Internet Protocol, we know that, there are nowadays we have this concept of VoIP, IP, wherein, through across a variety of physical layers, which are allowing the customer to select interfaces such as Ethernet or Wi-Fi via internal hardware or add-on cards. So if you want to communicate, you need to have additional hardware like maybe add-on cards or some kind of, you need to design some or change the architecture to connect onto the Ethernet or to the Wi-Fi. And and then use it to link with the internal architecture of the radar. Okay, another concept is of technical assistance or using sensors and systems to support humans in two ways: in decision making by aggregating and visualizing data, and in physically supporting human in tasks. So, what is the challenge you see which we face? Like, let's say that we are operating on radar, and suddenly it starts raining, and when it starts raining, I need to activate the clutter mode. Or for the electronic students, that the radar might be operating using a horizontal or a vertical polarization. But the moment it starts raining, there is a feature called circular polarization, which performs better in the rainy weather. So, the industry for a radar compliant with Industry 4.0 may have some kind of a sensor which can detect the presence of rain or something, and then it should automatically switch over from a normal mode to a anti-clutter mode or to a circular polarization mode. So it will help the human being operating the radar in decision making. Earlier, all these things were done manually by people. I remember when we used to operate the radars, we used to get a call when in the radar compartment from the bridge. from the captain saying that, you see, now it's raining, and because we never knew that it's raining outside, you see. So we used to get the captain used to call up and say that, the picture is degraded. So please switch over to the circular polarization mode or to the anti-clutter mode for rains. So that is how the Industry 4.0 can, take the latest technology can replace or help the humans in getting better performance of the radars. Okay. Okay, continuing with this now. So like I told earlier also that, radars can see through rain, fog and dust. So this is one advantage of RF energy over infrared energy, that it can perform much better in adverse conditions. Okay. So unlike infrared sensors, CCD, etc., does advance, although work out expensive. So they will be working out more expensive, but you got to pay a price. Like they say that there's no free lunch. So if you want a better performance, you need to pay a price. And but definitely radars or RF energy has got the benefit over IR energy of performing much better in adverse conditions, right? Okay, for just to give an example, there is a company called Sivas, which has got a radar sensor, and that has been designed to detect humans at ranges up to 25 meters. So this sensor is being used extensively in the factories and in the production houses, for safety applications where machines and robots are working in close proximity to people. So basically, the machines and robots which are working, they don't want any human interference within 5 to 10 meters or something. So how do you detect the presence of humans and all? So these are the radar sensors, you see, which are designed to detect humans, you see, and then it will sound alarm in case there is anybody within the vicinity, so that your safety can be maintained. Okay, and the final, the last, thing relevant is decentralization of decisions. So you need to, every decision cannot be made, cannot be taken in a hierarchical way to the top, you see. There has to be decentralization. Some decisions have to be made low. So let the Industry 4.0, you see, make it convenient, for people to make some, make it convenient for actually the machinery to make its own decisions, you see, and only refer, so we provide a manual override for the machine decisions only in case of an emergency. We provide emergency mode wherein we can override those decisions. Otherwise, a lot of things need to be done automatically. So this specifically refers to the ability of industrial systems to make decisions autonomously, unless there are exceptions requiring a higher order resolution. So only if there is an exception, we would like to override with a manual override. Otherwise, decision making should be done. And this would be one of the guiding principles to design the radars. So this will require sensors capable of delivering a clear situational picture, to which radar is quite well suited. So how do you see, you are saying that you want to make decisions, but what would you need to make a decision? So you may need some kind of a situational picture. So in terms of the presence of something, or the speed at which it is moving, or the distance. So you need to monitor these three parameters of an object which is in the vicinity, and to first give you a picture. And subsequent to, once you get the picture, you can do the kind of decision. You can embed artificial intelligence or whatever you need to make a decision. But to get the presence and to get these parameters and to get the presence of the picture, you need the radar. So that would be important and important part of the Industry 4.0 chain to implement anything. Right. So I think with that, I come to the end of my presentation, and thank you everyone for having listened patiently. And now the house is open for questions. No?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Before we proceed for the question answer session, actually we have been reported that we have a data issue at the host end. So it may interrupt, that data issue may interrupt in between. So can we pose the questions to the sir through WhatsApp?
Okay. Yeah, fine.
Will it be fine, sir?
Yeah, it's okay, fine. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Can we proceed forward, sir? We have to announce yesterday's toppers. Principal, sir?
If there are there any questions?
Yes, sir. There are questions. There are few questions, sir. Can I take one quickly?
Yeah, please take the questions. Yeah.
we'll take one question that
Okay.
the ground penetrating radar had some
Yeah.
limitations,
Yeah.
and GPR are always coupled with the conversational soil sampling techniques to confirm the data.
Okay.
So the question is, they want your view on this, sir.
Okay. Can you just repeat the question? What is the exact?
It's a ground penetrating radar has some limitations.
Okay.
So I think the person wanted to know, Professor Togule wanted to know your view on that. What the limitations?
See limitations. See limitations. I think not only GPR, all radars have got limitations, right? Now, when it comes to GPR, you see, depending on the frequency which you are using or how you have designed it, it may be able to penetrate only 50 meters, 100 meters. It depends upon the kind of So now, what are the limitations that we are talking of? Because he has to be very specific that what is the kind of radar that he's talking about. Limitations, like I told you, that the more sophisticated technology you use, the better performance you get out of any kind of radar. So I think that the limitations would be maybe on the design features and all. And but definitely by changing the frequency or the architecture or the antenna or something or the processing, you should be able to achieve better performance.
Yes, and one more question from student, that which radar is used to detect the new generation fighters?
Okay. See, like
Are
I
there any
told, yeah. So
Yeah.
like I told, one. Can you hear me? Yeah. One photograph which I showed was of the Green Pine radar. This radar is quite old, almost 15 years old. There is a sequel of this radar which has been taken by Indian Navy now, that is called MF Star, and being used on the latest ships. So that probably radar, it has been developed by Elta Israel, and they are developing very good radars. They are actually developing radars better than the 100-year-old US and European companies like Lockheed Martin, Thales. They are giving them a run for the technology. And I would say that MF Star, it's called MF Star, Mike. Of Elta Israel, probably would be one of the good radars which is used nowadays, and which can perform very good against. I said not only fighter aircraft. I even said that it can. The Green Pine can also perform against incoming ballistic missiles, which are much more difficult to detect than fighter aircraft.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Rest all questions will send you, sir. Thank you
Yeah.
for being with us.
Okay,
Thank you
sure.
for excellent information regarding radars and their integration with Industry 4.0. On a lighter side, nowadays we all are in radar range of COVID-19 and hope to have
Okay,
a
yeah.
remedy weapon to fight against it very soon.
Let's also.
Yes.